summer's been full of fun, flexibility, and memory making, but back to school is when I start rebuilding routines that help life run a little smoother. So let's dive in. Hi friends, welcome back to Lost Without a Plan. I'm Amanda Lynn, and I'm so ready to set goals for August. Back to school season always feels like a fresh chapter around here. Today I'll be walking through my entire goal setting process inside my MäksēLife Companion Notebook. We'll be reflecting on July, setting priorities for the month ahead, and creating simple action plans for the first week. If you've been feeling a little off track after summer break, this is your reminder that progress doesn't require perfection. It just requires a place to start. We'll also be using the free monthly overview worksheet from my website. I'll have that link below if you'd like to plan along with me. Of course, we'll be adding a little bit of function and personality to the pages with some stickery cuteness. So let's start where every good planning session should, by looking back. One of the most valuable parts of this process is taking a moment to reflect on what actually happened during the month. It's easy to jump straight into planning the next thing, but if we don't pause and reflect, we'll miss a lot of important information. So I flip back through my monthly goals and weekly reflections to see what moved forward and what stalled out and what deserves a little celebration. July's big focus areas were family connection, a handful of home projects, decluttering, and building healthier habits. Now let's work through my monthly reflection page. When I look back at July, my biggest win was definitely tackling Violet's closet. We pulled everything out, sorted through what no longer fit her style or her current size, and completely reorganized the space. When she was younger, we used to use a lot of bins because they made cleanup easier, but she decided she was ready for hangers, and honestly, I couldn't be happier about that decision. The biggest surprise was how much easier it became to see what she already owns. Once everything was visible, it was obvious that she had plenty of clothes and really only needed a couple of new pieces for the new school year. It's funny how often organization isn't about having more. Sometimes it's simply about being able to see all of what you already have. As for what's currently working, I've noticed that keeping my fitness goals front and center has been helping a lot. I got a nice jump start while we were away at camp and averaged about 10,000 steps a day. Probably more if we're being honest. I'd say closer to 15. That reminded me how good consistent movement feels and how much better I function when it's part of my everyday routine. So my focus now is figuring out how to bring that momentum home and build routines that make daily movement easier to maintain. Something that's not working quite as well is my learning goals. I started a calligraphy course last month, and technically I am making some progress, but the daily drills have been harder to fit in than I expected. I think this is less about motivation and more about the logistics, so I need to find a consistent time and place for that learning to happen. Right now my goal isn't perfection, it's simply finding 15 minutes a day. If I can create a habit first, I can always build on it later. The biggest lesson we learned this month is that systems get tested when everyone's home. Summer schedules are wonderful, but they're also unpredictable. Between vacations, activities, and having Violet home from school all the time, it felt harder to stay on top of my own projects. I actually scaled my expectations back quite a bit this month, but still found myself feeling behind. The good news is that reflection helps me see that the problem wasn't necessarily the effort. It was trying to use a school year system during the summer season. Different seasons need different systems. Going into August, my biggest adjustment is going to be continuing to focus on healthy habits, finishing school prep, and creating a learning schedule that feels sustainable. What I'm most grateful for this month are the memories that we've made. Between visiting friends and attending our Bible camp, we've had some really meaningful experiences together. And those are the things I remember long after the laundry piles and to-do lists are forgotten. The habits we want to nurture next month are movement, learning, and consistency. And my primary focus for August can be summed up in 2 words: move daily. Overall, I'd give July a 7 out of 10, which is pretty good. Not perfect, but full of good memories, important lessons, and enough progress to keep me moving forward. Today we're using washi tape from the Coffee Monsters Co. It's from one of the subscription boxes that we received recently. The themes books, globes, and sleepy little studying emojis, which feels perfect for August and back to school season. I also have these piecemeal washi stickers that are going to be a bear to take off, but they each have a little sticker on them. I will use the wider washi for the top of the page and then the adorable die cut style stickers to add a little charm. For markers, I chose to use my dual brush marker number 992 and then the Zig Clean Color Dot marker in powder blue. And for dates this month, I wanted to use the quarterly page from She Plans. While I'm decorating, let me explain how I've been using this spread. For the past several months, this has become my analog health dashboard. I track 2 simple things every day. 1 dot if I went for a walk, 1 mark if I completed a Pilates or strength workout. Most of my detailed data lives inside apps, but there's something incredibly motivating about seeing a visual record of your efforts on paper. A quick glance tells me whether I'm showing up consistently or not. And honestly, that's usually the information that motivates me. I've used this extra monthly spread for all sorts of things over the years, including reading trackers, goal timelines, and project planning. Having an extra monthly page dedicated to something important can be surprisingly powerful. Now that I've finished decorating these goal pages, let's talk about how I prepare for a new month. Before I start writing goals, I always spend a few minutes gathering information. One thing I've learned over the years is that goal setting works much better when you're planning from reality instead of wishful thinking. So first, I check in with my quarterly prep. If you were here for my quarterly planning session, you'll remember that I keep my quarter at a glance calendar here with important dates so that I can keep track of what's going on in August. We have some registration and school first days, a deadline, and we're going to be dog sitting out of town. So that's it for what's coming this month. And then I also keep my quarterly overview. This is what I pull from Trello and all of the other Trello, Google Calendar, all of the other online sources that I use for annual planning. And I put them all here so that I can easily look back without having to check every single month, all those different platforms. My quarter 3 theme is soft structure and fresh energy. For August, I specifically wanted to focus on structure and prep. After the flexibility of summer, August is about rebuilding rhythms before the school year begins. And as you saw here, it's not very far off, so we really need to get things wrapped up. Next, I transfer all of these things to my monthly overview worksheet. Now it looks a little messy now, but it's okay. It's just for like basic knowledge of just so I'm not seeing everything for the entire quarter. I'm just seeing what I need for this month for when I am creating the goals that I am going to keep. You can do this on a notepad if you want to, but I do have this worksheet available in my freebie library, and it's usually like a full sheet of paper, but I shrink it down so that I can keep it in here just in case I need to look back on it. Each month I use this to collect key dates, monthly tasks, habits and routines, and my top priorities for the month even before I touch my goal pages. It helps me see the month as a whole before I start assigning action steps. For August, my top 3 priorities are super clear. The first goal is school prep. That includes wardrobe updates, school supplies, backpack prep, and all the little details that seem to multiply this time of year. The second is healthy goals. I want to focus on daily movement, increasing Pilates consistency, and scheduling a few overdue care appointments. The third one is finalizing the Girl Scout year. Last month I shared preliminary dates with my co-leader, but now it's time to build out badge schedule, reserve activities, and prepare the materials for our first meetings back. Once all of that information is gathered in one place, setting goals becomes so much easier. Now it's time for the fun part. Let's set some goals for August. When I fill out these categories, I try to remember that goals don't need to be dramatic to be meaningful. Sometimes the best goals are simply the next right step. For personal, my focus is staying caught up on channel content and continuing my reading goals. Earlier this year, I was aiming for 12 books a month, but after reviewing my numbers, I realized I don't need to maintain that pace. To stay on track for my annual goals of 120 books this year, I'll only need 6 books per month for the remainder of the year. I love when the math gives me permission to relax a little. For fun, we're squeezing in every last drop out of summer. We'll be dog sitting in Los Angeles before the last week before school starts, and we're going to use that opportunity to spend time with friends we don't get to see nearly enough anymore. Those little visits may not seem like major events, but they often become the moments we remember the most. August starts with a magazine production, so that will naturally be a big focus for weeks 1 and 2. I'll also be continuing my calligraphy learning course. We actually have a couple of Zoom meetings already scheduled for that. Rather than trying to master that skill overnight, I'll simply be looking for some more consistency. Family will be all about back to school preparation. We'll be finalizing supplies, getting organized for the new school year, and making sure we're ready before the final rush begins. We also have some important birthdays this month. I'd like to be intentional about celebrating the people we love with a card, gift, or thoughtful gesture, so I want to keep that top of mind. As usual for this year, health is my biggest focus category. My goal will be to walk 4 times a week, whether that's outside or on my walking pad, which I actually did set up in my office, so we're good there. We actually have no excuses, taking all the excuses out of the equation. I also want to try to do 2 Pilates classes a month. Could I aim higher? Probably. And I might actually do more, but I'd rather create a goal that I can consistently accomplish rather than one that looks impressive on paper and never happens. Plus, 2 classes help me rationalize my Pilates app membership, so I think it's a happy medium. I also need to schedule a couple of appointments, one with ophthalmology. I think that's how you say that. It's the eye doctor, and one with the podiatrist. I have some ankle issues that have been coming up again, and I want to get them checked out. Personal growth will mostly be supporting scout planning and leadership responsibilities. Many of those actions will show up in my weekly planning sessions where they'll feel a little bit more manageable. For finance, I do need to reserve a couple of upcoming adventures. I want to book a cart safari at the Wild Animal Park while our membership is still active and begin planning a camping trip for later this season. And lastly is environment. So now that Violet's closet is all finished, it's officially my turn. My goal is to refresh my own closet for the season ahead. I also want to give my car a proper reset. After camp, I ran through a quick wash, but there's still plenty of dust hanging around. It needs a full interior and exterior refresh before we head into fall. I've also been feeling like a couple of my other areas of the house have fallen to the wayside, so I'm going to throw in deep clean here so that I can remember to focus on one or two areas that I think need a little extra zhuzhing. Sometimes I like to take the little extra step to translate these monthly goals into a plan for the week ahead. One of the things I love about the MäksēLife system is that it encourages you to keep breaking down those goals until they feel actionable. So from the big monthly checks to itty bitty baby steps every week, right? So let's take a look at next week. My biggest priority is definitely my magazine deadline. The first week of the month is usually my production week, which means a lot of focused creative work. The good news is that creative work pairs well with audiobook, so I'm expecting my reading goal to continue moving forward too. This week's book is Spies, Lies, and Alibis by Natalie Walters. So, a little dyslexic there. I wrote the I before the L, and now it looks funny. Thank goodness for friction pens. I think it'll be a fun escape from all the work that I'm doing to be able to hear someone on a spy quest. Doesn't that sound like fun? Another major focus will be routines, because school starts not this week, but the following week. So we're going to try and nail in some better choices for myself and Violet. August is a bridge month between summer freedom and school year structure. I don't need everything to be perfect immediately. We just need to start practicing habits that will support us once school begins, like earlier wake up times, packing the bags the night before, stuff like that. This week is school registration, which should give us a better idea of any lingering supply lists that we need before school starts for the first day. And of course, the teacher will give us another list on the first day. So I'm not expecting that to be all done ahead of time, but I'd like to have a little bit of it done early so that I'm not running around town looking for things that I could have purchased on sale a few weeks early, right? And because my word of the year is ignite, I always like to include one thing that will help me ignite fun into my week. For me, that will be spending time with friends, as this is the week that we are going to be spending in LA. The last little moments of summer always feel super special. Before I finish up, I also like to pull any recurring habits from my monthly spread. So drop in some reminders. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 full weeks. So I'm going to do 4 here. So we're definitely going to include 4 walks this week, which may not happen as it's deadline week, and it just may not happen this week, and that's okay if it doesn't. I will totally be fine if I don't get 4 walks in, but that's always the goal. And I think I can do it with the magazine deadline, but if deadline overwhelms me and I can't really do anything for 2 days afterwards, then we're just going to wipe those days off the calendar. It'll be fine. We'll figure it out. I'm not going to overpressure myself. I do have my podiatry appointment this week to check on that ankle, and everything else can wait for the following week when back to school rush begins. But I am going to put in supplies here because that will be a financial thing. I'm going to leave the rest to later. I'm not going to worry about Girl Scouts here. I'm not going to worry about cleaning here because magazine is going to suck a lot of time and energy away from my stuff. But we will be walking the dogs when I'm dog sitting, so I'm just gonna see how it goes, right? And that is a wrap on my August goals. As always, I hope that this gives you a little bit of inspiration to pause, reflect, and create a plan that fits the season that you're actually living in. Remember, progress isn't built in one giant leap. It's built through small decisions over time. And if you'd like a little extra support, be sure to visit LostWithoutAPlan.com/free, where you can pick up the monthly overview printable and along with a whole library of planning tools and resources. Next week, I'm setting up my August monthly spread inside my plum paper planner. We'll talk books that I have on deck for the month, monthly priorities, behind the scenes, planning techniques, basically everything I need to keep me organized throughout the month. And I'd love to have you join me. So if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss my next upload. Until then, I hope that August brings you structure where you want it, grace where you need it, and reasons to celebrate the progress along the way. Happy planning, friends. Bye for now.